Title sponsors are nothing new to the world of auto racing. Ever since it began, companies were quick to try and attach their brand to the biggest names in the sport. Some names stayed for a few seasons before fading into obscurity, while others stood the test of time and can define an entire generation of racing for its fans. One corporation was already well into their legacy, until a moment during the height of the pandemic tainted that legacy and brought it to shame, leaving the deal with millions of unpaid sponsorship dollars and a series left without a title sponsor. At the dawn of the 21st century, tobacco was losing its appeal to the public, and as the health craze started to take hold in the world, it became clear that big tobacco would no longer be welcome in everyday life. The motorsports industry felt the brunt of this impact more than most other sports. Kart teams lost a million in sponsors. NASCAR teams had to abandon brands like Camel and Skoal who had partnered with the teams for decades. And in the NHRA, it was no different. In the middle of 2001, an announcement said that Winston was going to leave the NHRA as its title sponsor. Winston had to pull out of the NHRA after the master settlement agreement between the tobacco companies and the states limited tobacco sponsorship to one racing series, with Winston opting to stay in NASCAR after being associated with the NHRA for 27 years. Tom commented until Auto Week that he has known for some time that Winston would be leaving the sport as title sponsor, and that he expected to have an announcement in the very near future. As to the series' new title sponsor, Compton would not reveal the companies he had been working with, but said an announcement will be made before the end of the season, and most likely before the end of the summer. We are looking for another long-term partner that can help us build the sport out of Compton, one who can make the investment the sport needs right now. We want a partner to help build on the momentum we've had this season. Winston would end up leaving NASCAR after 2 more years, and the NHRA would find their investor. In December of that year, the NHRA announced that Coca-Cola brand Powerade would step up and take hold as the series' new title sponsor, as part of a 5-year multi-tiered deal with the series. Powerade would become the official sports drink of the NHRA, Dasani would become the official water, and Coca-Cola would become the official soft drink. Coca-Cola would also boast a significant purse increase for the top 4 classes, rewarding $400,000 for top fuel and funny car, $200,000 for pro stock, and $50,000 for pro stock motorcycle. Drag racing is an ideal property to further Powerade's effort to reinvent the sports drink category and reinforce the brand's cutting-edge personality, said Sandy Douglas, president of North American division of the Coca-Cola Company. We are excited about the opportunity to partner with the NHRA to bring drag racing to new heights and support drag racing's loyal fan base with new innovative marketing initiatives. Besides marketing promotional support on both a national and local level, Powerade will provide advertising support both during NHRA's 23 national event shows exclusively broadcast on ESPN and ESPN2, and within other shows and programs on a variety of networks. The relationship between the two would start off strong. Around this time, the NHRA began to hit its peak of popularity in the 2000s boom. In 2009, the series would be ranked the second most popular racing series in the country, trailing behind NASCAR as quoted by ESPN. That same year, the series announced that Coca-Cola would rebrand a sponsorship, replacing Powerade with its energy drink Full Throttle as a new series sponsor, making it arguably the most fitting race sponsor series in motorsports. It's one of the great synergies of brand and sport, said NHRA President Tom Compton. To have a title sponsor for what will be at minimum 12 years by the end of this current deal is a tribute to a great relationship between NHRA and Coca-Cola North America, Coca-Cola Enterprises, the Powerade brand, and beginning in 2009, the Full Throttle brand. When you fuse the energy of Full Throttle with the speed and intensity of NHRA professional drag racing, you've got a combination that's hard to beat, said Rafael Acevedo, Senior Brand Manager of Energy Drinks at Coca-Cola North America. We mean it when we say go full throttle or go home. We can't wait to unleash the power of Full Throttle and to cement the relationship between NHRA drag racing, NHRA fans, and the ultimate energy drink. At the end of its initial deal in 2012, Coca-Cola would announce it would extend its partnership with the NHRA ahead of that season's U.S. Nationals, once again opting to rebrand its partnership with Mellow Yellow. Around this time was when the partnership between Coca-Cola and the series truly began to flourish. Along with adopting the slogan Go on Yellow, NHRA announced sponsored ticket deals, such as bringing a Mellow Yellow bottle to the ticket booth and being given an $8 discount on tickets. This allowed for brand and consumer interaction that most motorsport series struggle to achieve with other brands such as Verizon and Sprint. In 2017, it looked as if the relationship would continue to grow, as once again at the U.S. Nationals, the NHRA announced that Coca-Cola would extend its sponsorship up to 2023, continuing what would become a 21-year relationship between the Coca-Cola and the series. The bond looked strong, and heading into the new decade, it looked as though the deal between the two would possibly go into the final years of its current partnership and possibly be extended once again into the future. When 2020 hit, everything changed. We all know what happened. People were sent home, We were stuck inside. Sports and racing events were either postponed or canceled outright as we waited for the day when we could hope to go back to normal. NHRA is not spared from this either. In March, the sanctioning body announced its first wave of postponements as they waited to see how the early stages of the pandemic played out. March turned to April. April turned to July. Then in September, things began to hit the fan. On September 22nd, a bombshell dropped for the community as NHRA announced that they would be suing the now former sponsor Coca-Cola, who had informed the NHRA they would be backing out of their contract and cease sponsorship after allegedly missing a $2.86 million payment back in May as part of the 6-year agreement, which was worth $5.72 million a year. The NHRA claimed that Coca-Cola looked to seize on a global tragedy as a pretext to claim a breach and terminate the sponsorship, despite neither the contract nor the law allowing them to do so. When the pandemic struck, our entire racing family focused on everyone's health and safety. On the pro side, we continued to work closely with our series sponsor, Coca-Cola, and their Middle Yellow brand, even though they decided to withhold a payment from us during the pandemic. They worked with us and all the systems were to go for their sponsorship to continue as contracted through the end of 2023. Recently, Coca-Cola had a change of heart and told us they would walk away from their agreement to sponsor our professional series, not at the end of 23 as promised in their agreement, but now, after being with us since 2002, we're deeply disappointed that they've taken this position. NHRA has always treated our sponsors as part of our family. Family sticks together when times get tough, but it seems the Coca-Cola company is using the pandemic as an opportunity to break their promise. We can't let that stand. We owe it to everyone who makes the NHRA so excellent. All our employees, teams, tracks, fans, partners, and sponsors to hold Coca-Cola to its promises. Not a lot of updates will be shared about the lawsuit. A day after Racer reported the story, Coca-Cola responded saying the claims were unfounded and they looked to defend themselves in Central District Court of California. On September 21st, the complaint was filed in court. The trial wasn't covered by most media outlets, but there are still some very interesting details revealed about the fallout between the two that wasn't known previously. It turns out that Coca-Cola informed the NHRA back in September of 2019 that they decided they were not going to extend their sponsorship contract that was supposed to expire in December of 2023. Coca-Cola offered to allow the NHRA to enter discussions with potential sponsors that would want to take over as the new title sponsor for the series. Coca-Cola wouldn't consider a breach of contract and that it is open to an early termination of the contract if the new company wanted to start before the 2023 deadline. The reason for not wanting to renew the contract? Coca-Cola's explanation they gave the NHRA was a change in business strategy. Following the missed $2.8 million payment in May, Coca-Cola would write a message to the NHRA regarding their ongoing relationship, stating, "While the impacts of COVID-19 are unique for each property, as a company we have internally aligned on certain principles that will guide how we work together to address these impacts. Specifically, we will not ask for any money back for 2020. Instead, we will hold future payments or reconcile against future payments in order to recover lost value. Additionally, we're not looking for or are able to accept make goods to compensate for lost value. We appreciate everything that you and the entire NHRA team are doing to manage through the unique challenges to your business brought on by this pandemic, and are confident that the decisions you are making are in the best interest of the NHRA. Similarly, we too are trying to manage our business through these unprecedented times, which includes having these tough conversations because it's the right thing to do." Coke also proposed fee reductions of $520,000 for lost value due to the postponed or canceled events, and a further reduction of $293,636 on top of that. The proposal also called for a reduction of $1 million from the money they agreed to spend to promote the NHRA, even though they still owed $2.8 million for May. However, on August 5th of 2020, Cameron Tyler of Coca-Cola told Peter Clifford that Coke intended to walk away from its agreement altogether and leave over $20 million of unpaid money left on their contract. Peter Clifford would respond to Cameron stating, "Coca-Cola had previously indicated it would allow our agreement to expire at the end of 2023, and that if NHRA could find a replacement, Coca-Cola preferred to exit sooner. Now it appears that you are trying to seize on the pandemic to justify a unilateral exit." As well as going to state, "We'd expect a company with Coca-Cola's values to wholeheartedly support NHRA's actions to protect people in response to a pandemic, such as canceling or postponing events based on government and public health guidance and the safety of our community. We are shocked that you are now trying to cast our responsible and necessary actions as a breach and to use the pandemic to turn an 18-year relationship with 3 more contracted years upside down." Coke responded to this by sending a notice of material breach of sponsorship agreement, which then led to the story we saw in September. That would be the most interesting thing to happen with that case. There would be months of worth of notices, motions, and withdrawals of counsel, leading to a notice of settlement filed in December of that same year. Both parties would agree to pay their own legal fees, and that would be the only part of the plea deal that we would know. The rest of the deal likely hidden behind a non-disclosure agreement, which means the ending of this story might never see the light of day. While the NHRA was preparing to go to court over losing its longtime sponsor, they would end up finding the saving grace that kept the series running through the pandemic. As fast as the news broke of the NHRA's lawsuit in California, Camel CEO Marcus Lemonis went to Twitter and voiced his interest in picking up the pieces and taking over as the series' title sponsor, stating, "We at Camel aren't scared of our commitment to racing." Lemonis stated to Competition Plus that he had never been to any drag race prior to sponsoring the series. While it's unclear how long the agreement between the two is going to last, Lemonis said that it would go well beyond 2021 and that he wanted to sign a contract that wasn't on a one-year basis, but allowed them to sit down and discuss it after 3 or 4 years if it didn't work out. So while it may not be known how long Camel and Lemonis will be staying in NHRA, and that they might not do much to promote the series or have any sort of midway exhibit for their company, it still can't be understated what Lemonis and Camel has done. Camel jumped in headfirst into a multi-million-dollar sponsorship deal immediately after the NHRA lost its largest source of funding. The company stuck its logo all over a form of racing that the CEO had never attended before, and is still sticking around, possibly past their initial sponsorship agreement. That alone should cement Camel's legacy as a sponsor for the series in a positive light, after picking up the pieces of a long-term sponsor who tainted theirs. Thanks for watching the video. I've appreciated the support I've received the last few months, especially from the people within the NHRA who allowed me to go to cover the US Nationals back during Liberty Weekend. I plan on being back for future races starting next year, and aim to attend multiple national events during the season. Be sure to subscribe, like, comment, and share this video so YouTube knows you want to watch more of them, and so you can help support the growth of the channel so that way I can get better equipment for my content. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at MightyMac03 so you can keep up to date with what's going on. And until then, this has been Mighty Mac, and I will see you next time.